Well, yeah, let's get into it. And let me actually, while you got that on the board, I can show you right how it kind of developed here. I fooled around with this d3 thing myself because I played knight f3 for years, and f5 is better against knight f3 than it is against d4. Just a little bit more options for black, and so the advantage of you could create in your mind a narrative which says, well, the advantage of knight f3 is that you then get to play d3, but black played it, I think, perfectly, where you just played d6. And then a very simple plan where you play e4, e5, and it's like a good Schliemann, right? Where the dreams of Federico the f-pawn are fully in play. And already, the computer, back in the, I mean, I looked at this maybe 15 years ago, and the computer was already like, black is okay. But on a practical level, I'd rather be black, because white, you know, if he doesn't figure things out, black is going to have just a better position.
How did that famous Carlsen game go that he had against, like, I think it was Dolmatov, where they had some line like this? I don't remember exactly how it went, but I feel like they got an early, like, knight c3 here, knight c6, and then something like takes d4. Could this have happened?
Sure, yeah, and that's the kind of madness that white is. It's a bummer for white, because you're like, I didn't want to play d4 in the first place, but black is basically saying, you know, you're doing nothing if you don't, you know, play that way. Mm-hmm. And white is technically sacking a pawn here, but I guess it's no good because of some kind of knight e5 at the end. Right, but yeah, I guess let's say this, with his bishop g2 position on the board, black has an interesting challenge of whether he wants to play g6 or bishop e7. And he could, of course, start off with knight c6 and then after castles, then decide, right?
Hmm. Yeah, I feel like I don't like this bishop on g2 at all here.
Well, to be fair, it wasn't going to be any good on e2 either. Which is why, right, you might want to think about something violent like taking on f5 and then playing d4.
Yeah, that's why white needs d4 in this position. I wonder if white here was just kind of unclear on what they were doing against the Dutch. Yeah, they spent 2 minutes on d3. So that means that d3 is not like a move they're necessarily used to playing.
No, it's a funny thing. It made a sense. There was a point in my chess life when I thought d3 was at least interesting, because you know, knight f3 players have a little bit of more problems against the Dutch. Of course, you could play, like, let's say that the traditional lines from like 1988, where you like g3, bishop g2, d4, and all that stuff. But like we saw in our vote chess game, like d4, f5, bishop g5, then black's like, oh man, then you're really in a lot of pain.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this will be a violent game, and we have basically a Dutch in the other position too, where black really went for it in kind of an interesting way. It started off like so many games where it looks like maybe it's going to be mellow, right? It started off with this knight c3 thing. I mean, let's say the bishop b4 business in the Dutch, and I've done this plan myself, but Kosti, let's get into it a little bit, because maybe I have some couple questions. Like, let's go to the position with, say, rook d1. Now maybe the guy shouldn't have played rook d1, but let's talk about g5, because that was the big committal move, right?
Yeah.
Now I want to say I've done slightly similar things. If we go back to like these positions where instead of queen c2, a lot of times what you'll see is bishop f4. It could go like c6, queen c2, and then I've done this kind of thing where you go knight h5, they move the bishop somewhere, and then you play f5.
Mm-hmm.
Which, well, I don't know, it's an interesting game anyway.
Yeah, it always feels like black at least gets some play on the king side. I never like these positions from either side, to be honest, but I think the stone wall is kind of the only way black can really make it interesting for them.
Oh, it's always going to be interesting. No, there's all kinds of, no, this is very rich. Like, here, I'll show you another variation that's, well, anyway, no, I can talk forever about weird variations. But, so the thing is, like, okay, there's a couple things I don't understand. Why we are rushing with g5 for one? Like, we could play f5 first. But I'm still not, that doesn't mean that g5 was a bad move. And then my next question is, like, bishop e3 was probably felt natural for white, but maybe the guy should have gone, like, all the way back to c1. Right? So that then you could play b3 and bishop b2 and then knight e5 after f5.
Yeah, usually that's my instinct, actually, when I ever face this kind of like weird advance on the king side that's like long-term weakening but short-term dynamic, is like you can pull the bishop all the way back to c1 so that it doesn't get in the way of anything. It still puts pressure on g5. Yeah, maybe you play like put the bishop on b2 or even a3 in some cases, like trading off dark square bishops could be an idea here for white. I think on e3, I mean, it feels like it's at least developed, and maybe in some concrete lines, like sometimes bishop e3, this knight moves somewhere, and then white plays f3 to kick the knight out of e4, and then the bishop finds like a nice square on f2. So I've kind of seen this happen, but I don't know, bishop c1 definitely feels very intuitive to me, as just to get away from that eventual tempo like f5, f4, which could really be annoying.
The other thing in my experience is that, you know, you're going to play bishop c1, b3, bishop b2, plant the knight on e5, and then it's kind of hard long-term to prevent the bishop getting angry and open on the long diagonal, which is, of course, the sin of g5. And I feel nervous a little bit for white here because it's going to be, well, it's obviously critical now in this f4 thing. I feel like the bishop on e3 is clearly more of a victim and not doing anything especially better than he would do on c1.
Yeah, just kind of getting hit.
Interesting moments. So now, obviously, big questions. Bishop f6 was played. It makes some sense to me. There's other moves. We could do a lot of different moves here for black, right? But all right, let's just say bishop f6. Dude then played b3 now, and I'm going to say no entiendo on that one.
b3, a weird move. I mean, he spent a lot of time here, so I'm guessing this move was difficult for white. Like, he didn't know what to do and just played b3. Okay, might as well defend the pawn, just in case.
Okay.
That's what the idea seems like to me. Then queen e7.
Queen e7, right. And the other thing that's weird about this is now knight e1 happens. And let's just say something obvious. The rook didn't necessarily want to be on d1, and the f2 point is a little tender.
Yeah.
In a lot of situations. All right, so let's say this is a big moment for white, and, excuse me, for black. White does not have a clear plan. Maybe he wants to play f3, but that doesn't make it really a plan. And black now plays b6, which, okay, here's the interesting thing. The only thing I kind of know about this position is back in the Bronze Age, when I came of age, the idea of the stone wall was to kind of kick it with the bishop on c8, bring the queen, and try to mate. And then Carlsen tried to do this thing where you develop it on b7, and it turned out to actually be kind of playable.
Right.
So that's what he's going for with b6. And he's saying that the f4s of the world aren't necessarily going to work out. There was definitely other options that white is giving black here. Queen g7 is plausible. Knight DC5 looks weird, but maybe even that move's playable.
Yeah, definitely feels like so many moves here. I mean, I kind of like that black is doing this, like this f5 and g5. This definitely shows like they're not willing to just play this like boring position with b6, bishop b7, and rook c8 and just like kind of see what happens. But they're actually looking for active play. b6 kind of feels okay. I don't know, maybe he was thinking about putting the bishop on a6 and just kind of...
Well, right, and one of the things I wanted to stress earlier was just this thing that Carlsen kind of changed the way, probably there were other players besides Carlsen, but changed the way I thought about this. Like, I always thought previous to those games that black didn't want to weaken himself on the queen side because, you know, that's where white ideally would like to do stuff. But this point, the hidden point with b6, bishop b7, is that maybe black's going to play c5 someday, which was also like against the conventional Stonewall wisdom, which was the wall was meant to be a wall and was never meant to be moved.
Yeah, c5 seems super risky. Although after what white did in the game, like f3, this move feels really dangerous actually, because now it does kind of invite knight c3 and like c5 now that the bishop on g2 is blocked.
Right, and I want to say that I remember having games in the last millennium where I made this kind of mistake, and it derives from the mistaken belief that pawns are people, right? You're thinking to yourself, oh, I need to kick that knight. But you're not respecting your pieces. Like, this guy just became terrible. Your king just became weak. The knight didn't wanted to do something. This knight, I don't know. And now black has a fine choice. Personally, knight d6, letting that knight on c3 just stew in its own juices also makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, knight d6 looks very annoying as well.
The only possible argument I can have against knight d6 is maybe white finally realizes that the bishop needs to go to c1. Right? And then you know, try to do something over there. Right, so he's thinking about that. Great game. And knight d6 was played.
Oh, cool.
Very fighting game. Yeah, this is interesting structure. Let me ask the Twitch people, do you guys hear like a weird sounds coming out? Like, I described it to Kostya as when Luke Skywalker has to train on the Millennium Falcon to like fight with the blindfold on, and the little machine goes whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. That's the sound that I'm getting. I don't know if anybody else are here. Yeah, so Murfinski's saying we get some whirring sounds.
Yeah, I think that's my computer fan doing its job, working overtime.
Oh, it's your computer fan. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, what about the fan right behind you?
This one, I think, is silent. I don't think, like, I can't hear it in the room.
Okay. Now, is that because it's hotter than crazy in California right now?
It's a little warm, actually. It more has to do with just my computer itself has been having a crisis with its fans. A couple weeks ago, I don't know if I talked about this on stream, but like, I actually couldn't hear the fans ever, which was very concerning because that means that maybe they weren't working and the computer was going to be overheating. And it turns out it was. The temperatures were skyrocketing whenever I ran like any engine or anything. And then something changed for some reason, and now the fans are kind of loud all the time. But the computer is, at least the temperature is good. So it's staying healthy, but then the fans are pretty annoying. So I need to find some kind of in between.
Now, one cool thing that we got going on in the Twitch, in the chat, is that Vish Chess is here, and I'm gonna put a link to this game. This is gonna go down into his best games collection from today, man. So here we go. I'm gonna copy this thing. Oh, ruining it. Let's copy this thing. And this was in the last quad that Vishnu won decisively. Yeah. So check that game out. Go through that. That would seem like theoretical. theoretical business where I was like, dang, you take it easy on the theory, buddy. that was like really impressive. Okay. Oh man, it's just so. Let me just say, I'm gonna complain a second. Chess.com can be really annoying. It's like when I did that little link, it kicked me out of the board I just had.
Brutal.
Jerks. Okay, I got it back. Okay. So, let's take a look at Counter Sparks. One thing I gotta say, I'm hanging out with. I think I had most of these people in the training session I just had.
Right.
And it's a little strange to have these people and then not know their names.
Right.
I don't know their names, and I'm like,
know their handles.
Who are these people? Anyways, I know them now more by their handles than anything else. And let me see if I can reconstruct on our board what happened here. So, the guy took on e4. Wait a second. Make sure I can get it. So, after bishop g2, he took on e4. Let me ask you, buddy, how do you feel about that taking on e4?
I mean, it makes sense now that white's committed the bishop to g2 to just shut down the diagonal and not let white take on f5 at any point. Especially now that white has like this h4 square for the knight, I would definitely consider like ef5, d4, e4, knight h4, and just using that diagonal. So to me, it makes a lot of sense to take right this moment, actually.
Oh, I'm gonna say I disagree. I love debating. I'm gonna say I disagree with that one because this pawn, white doesn't really want to take it, at least not anytime soon. And when you take, you make ideas of knight c3, d5 stronger, and you lose the tension because at some point you might want to King's Indian the guy with f4 later on. So it makes your life maybe a little simpler to play FE, and I certainly think black's position is still fine. But no, I don't like it.
Yeah,
I don't like it at all.
That makes sense. Actually, the f4 idea is really huge here, like being able to do this one.
Right, and like I said, black had a choice too. Right here, I thought you could always start with knight c6. That's never wrong. And then you could decide between bishop e7 and g6. G6 is the move where you're really going to go for it, right? You're going to go for the whole shebang. And I think most King's Indian players would just really enjoy that situation.
Yeah, if black could get g6 in, actually, that would be really interesting. So, let's say, does that mean you think black should have just played g6 right there?
Or, like I said, maybe knight c6 first. I'm not sure it makes that big difference. But like as a plan, yeah, knight c6, castles, g6, and play bishop d7, castles, and then make him worry about f4, make him worry about f3. And the knight c3, d5 thing is just going to be a lot less potent.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, maybe I don't need g6. I mean, at knight c6, I could just also play g6. To me, this is an example of releasing the tension with fe.
Right.
It feels like
I just feel like white is going to get d4 in. Like, if knight c6, let's say knight c3.
Alright, g6.
G6, and... Okay, if we take, are we taking gf?
Every Russian schoolboy knows to take that pawn.
And, okay, but that means if white had taken here...
You can do that. No, that you always have the option to do that, but then that's a free development right there.
Mm-hmm. Let's say knight c3.
Yeah, it's a totally different game. I don't know. This has a variety of ways for black to play this, but let's just say the obvious that black is now up in tempo and he's got the center. Right, so no reason to complain here for black. Queen d7 is the obvious one.
Oh, okay. Queen d7, bishop h3.
I might play bishop h3. I might castle long. I feel like I'm pretty flexible there in that position.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Okay, well, let's look at what happens. He took, and then bishop e7. he didn't need to do it that way. That's fine. I understand. And then castles. And white played c4, which I'm opposed to because it's another non-developing move, but maybe it's not so bad. There's a couple famous games in the structure. Yeah, I'm not a friend of c4. Not a friend.
Darn, I like it a lot. I feel like it's so natural. Like, you put the knight behind the pawn, you get c5 ideas.
It's gonna definitely lead to like kind of known structures that we've all seen at least a little bit of.
Mm-hmm.
And one big question for black is, does he want to put his knight on c6 or does he want to put his pawn on c6? Yeah, big moment for black. He ends up just saying knight c6, so let's stick with that.
By the way, Jesse, random question. Are you familiar / are you a fan of Josef Dorfman's work? If you know his books like The Method and his way of teaching?
I actually have intentions to check that out. It's kind of hard to get. I talked with my friend Eugene Carlson, I think last year in St. Louis. He was talking to me about that because I think Grishuk mentioned it or something as a cool book.
Yeah, Grishuk is definitely a fan. Dvoretsky is definitely not a fan. He trashed Dorfman a lot in his books. Right. But I also know that Grishuk is like a big Dvoretsky fan too, so it's like a weird... it's not like one side or the other. Anyway, I feel like he has this concept. I don't know if he invented it exactly, but he would call this d5 square as like a semi-outpost, because either black has to allow it or black has to play c6 and weaken the d6 pawn critically, and that's kind of like a big concession, which to me is an interesting idea, but a lot of his other stuff does seem very, very dogmatic. And yeah, now Chess24, they did a video series with him that I was watching. It's pretty interesting, where he kind of explains a lot of his, I guess, ideas on chess. Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. Like, I definitely, Dvoretsky will criticize him for just being way too, I don't know if consistent is the right word, but I guess dogmatic. Yeah, it's just like always following the same ideas and not realizing that chess is just like a very concrete game and based on dynamics. But on the other hand, I mean, the guy was a GM and did have some nice games, so he seems like, you know, his method worked for some people, at least.
Oh, I mean, Dorfman was a huge dude. I mean, in all respect to Dvoretsky, but Dvoretsky's not on Dorfman's level. Come on. Yeah, no, that's interesting. I have intentions to read that. Actually, in that same era, like Soviet players, I just got this book today that came out recently with Keaton talking about coaching Kasparov, and Dorfman was on Kasparov's team for a while too, if I remember right. And so yeah, there'll probably be some tales about Dorfman and all that stuff from back in the day. That book just came out recently, and yeah, the method stuff, I don't know. Now, let me ask you a question, Kosi. You're fluent in Russian, right?
I can speak it conversationally.
So when you get a book like that, are you reading it in Russian?
No, almost never. I can't really read at a normal level. I've read like a little bit, but it's always super slow for me.
But like a chess book, right? It's half moves anyway.
Yeah, so I've tried to read some chess books like Botvinnik and Karpov and stuff, but I found it's just tough because, like, I mean, it's really the notes that I'm interested in, and then a lot of times they just use big words. I don't always get the translation right, and I just like kind of struggle to figure out what they're saying. So, like, the English translations just save me a lot of time.
Fair. Okay, I want to say I've been thinking about this position. I want to stress I don't like that FE move, but knight c6 as well. A little bit like, unless you're intending to do some weird bishop g4 thing, which I don't think I approve of. I don't know what the rush is of putting the knight there. You could have done well once you play knight c6, then it's going to be there's going to be more grief, obviously, with the knight coming to d5. It's not clear why the knight's on c6 if you're not going to d4. One reason I like that structure with the pawn on c6 is black effectively has more pawns in the center than white does, right? And we get to fight for the d4 square, and obviously he can't fight for d5. The d6 square I wouldn't say is too weakened after c6. I don't know if white's worse or anything, but yeah, my inclination would be something like either king h8. Let's say king h8 just for kicks, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, knight c3, right? Bishop e6. And I don't know, he's got a bunch of different moves, right? Queen e2, b3, you can do a bunch of different things.
Yeah, let's say queen e2.
Alright, queen e2. And again, I don't have to play knight d7 anytime soon. But let's dominate the knight.
Yeah, maybe b3 now.
Knight d7.
Bishop a3.
I don't know, a5.
Okay, d1. Yes, I always feel like white is just better here.
Okay, let's play a couple moves, because I'm seeing it's like, well, black's going to play knight c5 next, and then we're better.
Okay, sure. Alright, I'll try knight g5.
Does worry me.
And f4.
Good. Okay. Yeah. If you're going to claim an advantage, you got to do some whack like this.
Whack.
It's pretty. Yeah, it's a little whack. Okay. Knight c5 is potential. Your computer is singing us songs, by the way. Singing us songs.
It's straining. It's grinding. Guess I would.
It sounds like music.
Okay, I would try h3 here.
Alright, I'm not sure about this next thing. I do want to stress, I really like black because these pieces on a3 and c3 I feel are poor, but alright, let's play a couple moves. h6. I'm gonna move for you, knight f3. You can take it back if you want. And then knight h5.
Okay, yeah, this is annoying.
Oh, no, knight h5, I'm blundering knight e5. Or in the words that you like so much, I forgot knight h5.
Forgot knight h5.
Oh, I had a question for you on that. I did. So I thought it was actually a Russian thing. Okay, so for example, I've studied with a lot of Russian dudes, and when they miss something, they say, I blundered X. And it sounds a little weird in English, you know, when you say, I blundered knight f3 or something like that. But I figured it was a Russianism, you know, for something they say in Russian. Or like, essentially they're saying they overlooked it. And forgot, also in English, sounds kind of funny. Like, I forgot something. So I'm wondering, like, is maybe that forgot is the same word they're trying to translate for I blundered.
Yeah, actually, the word in Russian is zivnul, which is, it can be translated to forgot. I think it's closer to, like, overlooked.
Right, yeah.
But, yeah.
So take it easy on those guys. Take it easy on them. They're just trying to say they missed something.
But it's like, it's MVL and Naka who use this word. They're like the worst offenders. Like MVL, every time he blunders something, he forgot it. and then Naka for sure. So I don't know what their excuse is. I think they gotta just own up to their mistakes.
So in this position, knight c6, h3 was played.
H3,
which
yeah.
maybe is not necessary, right? Arguably, you don't need it.
But it shows that he's a prophylactic player. That's where his mind is at.
It shows to me that he was worried about bishop g4, which I'm not sure he should be worried about. That's what it shows me.
Yeah.
So in this position, he kind of just went for the loco with queen e8.
Well, actually, yeah, kind of exploiting White's last move, because now he has a target.
Well, right, and there were other moves that he could have done. He could have played king h8 with the similar to what the setup we just had with bishop e6 and queen d7. And there you're just winning a clean tempo after all that. And here he's going to say he's also winning a tempo. I think h3 was a poor move. Yeah. Now black is just up in time in a kind of ridiculous way. The other thing that will look ridiculous, but is actually, there's kind of a known idea here for black, is if white parks his knight on d5, bishop d8 is a cool move to deal with the drama of the knight on d5. And it looks totally silly the first time you see it, but then you realize, oh, it's actually kind of hard to do something.
Yeah, it reminds me of the Kalashnikov Sicilian, where black will give up the square on d5, put the bishop on d8, yeah, and just hang out.
Right.
This is annoying for white. I mean, I guess, like, if I was white here, I'm just calculating if queen h5, like, is happening next move, because white probably is playing g4, and then black might have to sack there, or is at least gonna consider it.
I'm not convinced with queen h5. I'll tell you what. Let me just make the natural move, knight c3.
Yeah, queen h5.
And on queen h5, don't I get to play knight h4?
Oh, knight h4 is...
I don't know if it's a big deal, but at least, you know.
No, knight h4 is nice. At least, yeah, there's no... I was thinking g4 would have to happen, but g4 looks super dangerous.
I don't really want to play g4. Well, because this is one of the things I wasn't totally certain about queen e8, is that after knight c3, what is what is the plan after knight c3?
Maybe it's black in time for knight d7.
Interesting. So you want to do the whole dance of like knight c5, e6?
Yeah.
That's a thought, yeah. But if you were going to do that, then it doesn't make sense to play queen e8, right?
No, I agree. I think black completely missed this knight h4 idea.
Well, and maybe knight h4, it's not the end of the world. Maybe you still go down that line and see what you got. But I felt like after h3 that white was a touch worse. Like, for example, let's say I play king h8, knight c3, bishop e6. You can do, let's say queen e2. You can do different things. Queen d7, king h2. And I just like black better. For example, maybe just a simple move like rook a e8. And then you got to worry about the knight d4s of the world. I guess I could have played knight d4 there too.
Right.
Yeah, it just feels pretty good. In any case, right, that is the situation with counter sparks. We need names for these people. We need actual names. We need actual names. Oh my God, we got to go over to Quirk's game with Shock Masteo. No idea what's going on there. Let's go.
Sure, I just want to get to Vishnu's question. Is a5 just a waste of time? Yeah, actually, I don't know if knight b4 here is such a big deal here for black, because white can always just kick it later. So it seems like it's not exactly what black wants to be doing. Oh, this game really blew up. Wow.
Yeah, it depends on the position. Okay, right, so let's see if we had knight d6 is when we left it, so let's get that on the board. Knight d6, I'm going to promote that, just so we have the main thing.
Yeah.
What a mess. Okay, knight d6, bishop f2, and then dude played f4, which I don't know about f4.
Yeah,
in fact, I'm gonna go ahead and say I'm not thrilled with f4. Because see the problem. Okay, so what the narrative that Black must have had to play f4 is to say that if White played e4, that Black am in trouble. I'm not sure that's actually true, because when you play e4, you're going to loosen this cannon on f8, and if you don't, and then you have the option of just not even taking it. So, for example, let's just play some obvious moves: bishop e7, e4, and just move the bishop away. There's more than one way to do this. I don't think White's better.
Wow. No, this is really interesting. I think this is exactly the kind of line like a player just underestimates.
Okay, so let's say I might be wrong and say, all right, let's give him a chance with this bishop f2, f4 thing. And I guess why I don't like it is you're giving, like, these pieces that are actually pretty terrible, you're giving them reasons to be, right? Like, this knight is going to come and touch f4 at some point with the tempo. Bishop h3 might happen, and if White wants, he can still play e4, and fe bishop e3 is at least a reasonable position for White.
Yeah. Well, that's what he does. Yeah, just knight d3 immediately, queen g7, bishop h3. Has kind of given life to White's pieces. Although, I mean, there's some very concrete stuff going on. I guess d4 is kind of hanging. Not sure what's happening here.
Well, let's go ahead and say that it's a question of who's being more clever here, because it's quite possible that White missed queen g7. That doesn't necessarily mean queen g7 is a great move, but it's quite possible he missed it. And he's banking on this saving him. But before we get to bishop h3, it does not feel good for Black, because we're allowing White to now open everything, and the bishop on c8 is not active. Let me ask a simple question. We could have just taken this pawn on f4, right?
Well, probably bishop takes d4.
Only sensible move. And let's just say I keep taking stuff.
Take on c3?
Oh, it's been a long day. Okay, I totally missed it. I missed it. I don't know why I wasn't thinking about it. In which case, maybe this is more complicated than I wanted it to be. Okay, so that's why bishop h3 happened. And Black is thinking about it. And, right, I don't believe it because this, well, I'm not sure I believe bishop h3, but I don't believe in Black's general plan just because things are so loosey-goosey. The obvious thing, and every French player knows this, when somebody plays bishop h3 to attack your pawn, you might want to let him take it.
Right.
Because it will activate the bishop on c8. So Black is thinking about it. Let me just double check. He played rook e8. Now I want to say that's not what he ideally wanted to do, and it's definitely validating bishop h3 as a move. Okay, Kosti, I'm ready to try. So bishop d4.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just put bishop e6 on the board, because I think that's what he was afraid of.
Right.
And then king h8.
Well, let's take queen d4, knight f2.
I'm not sure about knight f2, but okay. You could have moved the king, obviously.
I wanted the tempo.
Well, I think you're going to get the tempo. You're going to get the tempo. So, very violent position.
I mean, it just makes me feel like this whole f4 thing was just so wrong. Like, I mean, White's rooks are connected, Black's are not. And, like, the f5 pawn was restricting the bishop. White just played f3, now the bishop is on h3, and, like,
Okay,
setting up mating ideas, you know.
I'll try to defend Black's honor, Queen E5.
It just feels... Well, I can understand why he didn't want to go for this.
All right, we're going to take your tacos over here.
Wow. I really don't believe it, though. Like,
that's fair.
maybe knight g4?
Good, that's what I would consider. Yeah, nice snip. Maybe king g2 now.
Right, total domination.
Now, it might just be... I'm worried I'm going to be losing a piece or something here, but let's see if maybe... I have no idea. So, it looks like I'm losing a piece somehow. Well, not somehow. It's going to be DC, and I'm going to be losing a piece. Oh man, this got hot and hectic. All right, let's try one more time because Rook E8 was really not what I wanted.
Well, maybe King H8. Maybe this was just more flexible.
Okay, let's try King H8. We'll just consider that because that's clearly what you're afraid of if you're going to play Rook E8, right?
Yeah, and maybe something like this is like.
But you want your rook on F8. You want to bring your other rook to E8.
Oh yeah, I don't know how we're getting that. I just don't see a way. Like the knight on D7 is just stuck. Like
okay, let me try this thing that you came up with though. King H8, Bishop E6. Okay, I at least have some notions here. How about this is obviously not something I'm sure about. Let's play FG. I think you got to play HG, right?
Yeah.
Because otherwise Bishop G3, and then I'm going to play Knight C5.
no, but just no way.
Why is it no way? Okay.
No, I'll work. I'll figure out why. But I just want to make it clear that my first instinct is no way.
All right.
Yeah.
I only sacked a pawn so far.
Okay, so if we take...
Oh, this is truly a mess. Okay, oh, yeah, this is hard. So Bishop E6 takes D6. Bishop C3. I'm assuming we're AC1.
Yeah, let's do that.
Coach just says, no way, buddy. Okay, yeah, I don't know what's going on either. I just did not want to play Rook E8 in this position over here.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. Like, if there's nothing else to do, then you gotta play Rook E8. I mean, why play King H1? Oh, that's interesting. He wants to open the G file.
Well, I think after Rook E8, then White has to be better. Just has to be better.
Yeah, but you don't think White is already better here, perhaps?
It's totally possible. Yeah, and Queen G7 was like this. The whole thing with F4. Yeah, the whole thing with F4 felt absolutely wrong.
Good for White, though. I mean, Queen G7, Bishop 8. You know, he could have just defended the pawn. He could have played Knight B2. Or like Knight B4, you know?
Never. Never.
I would hope not. I mean, that's why I like Bishop H3.
Well, on Knight B4, you got to worry about C5 in addition to the mundane moves, and
yeah, it's a very awkward move to play. It's Bishop B7.
So Rook E8 came, King H1, right?
Yeah, no, White has to be much better here now. He's getting his like prophylactic move, of getting away from D4 and opening up Rook G1. So it's like just accomplishing so many things.
This feels totally toast.
I feel like F4 was way too early.
Right.
I think just Bishop B7.
Well, let's address his fear. So bishop b7, he's worried about e4. This position, you got two choices. You can open the f file, or you can just kick it with bishop g7. Right? Opening the f file has the problem that you're also opening the bishop on g2, obviously.
Which I think is huge. I think actually that's the biggest factor. I'm guessing he just maybe assumed this and then didn't like this one. But I like your move, bishop g7. Just his white is just not in a position to like hit the e file or anything. I mean, maybe knight d3, rook e1, but it feels like something is kind of hanging there for white.
Right, and you got to start wondering about the rook f2s of the world, because d4 is so weak, and the c5s of the world too. So it's at the very least really scary. And I've done this. I have personal memories of losing to Dmitry Gurevich in the last millennium because I was obsessed with pawns. I was a pawn obsessor. And I wanted to play f3, e4 because I thought that was, well, that's the proper pawn break that you're supposed to do. And, idiot. It's about your pieces, buddy. It's about your pieces. Okay. The 1800 tournament is closed for now. We have two 1800 plus tournaments. Now, you might be meaning lower than 1800. Do we have a lower than 1800 tournament, Kostin?
We have some in the works. I actually have like almost 30 players looking to play a round robin right now that aren't in a section. So that's very cool. And it's a mix of the 1800 group and a couple of players who are just wanting to join the teams. They're currently like recruit status. So they're not in a group, but they're interested, and they're also interested in the classical round robins, which is really cool.
Cool. Now we have movement on our other game, and it went a little bit as expected. So queen h5, knight h4, knight d4. Interesting moves.
I just love all these endgames for white. I feel like the structure in the endgame is very pleasant. Especially the light squared bishop.
Fair enough. Okay, and let's say that it's a really interesting decision for white here, right? Like, obviously you can take the queen, but then you got to figure out your knight on h4. You could play bishop e3, and I'll say that's my first instinct for white, but I'm not certain about it. You could consider knight d5. No, I don't like knight d5 because then. Actually, even knight d5. Oh, knight d5 is clever, dude, because you can't play knight takes d5. What about knight d5 right here, Kostya? Bam! What do you do?
I mean, queen d1, knight e7.
Now, let me just say, before we go down this road, there might be a little bit of a blunder check, because maybe black could be smart himself and play knight e2 check, and then play knight d5, and then take on h4.
Oh. No, but there'll be queen d5 with check at least. So we'll get this tempo. But knight e2 is clever.
So, okay, so let's just say, before we go down the knight d5 road, let's just say that's an interesting move for the guy.
Yeah.
You were talking about queen d1. That endgame looked pretty good it seemed to me, but that's interesting. Bishop e3 is the natural move to just hold the tension. Knight f5 is like the gambit-y move.
Yeah, we don't immediately want to play queen h5, right? Because then knight h5 and hits the knight on h4, which doesn't have a great square. But bishop e3 is also running into issues like, well, I guess queen d1 we just go rook a d1. Knight c2 will back up.
I want to stress that queen h5 is totally playable because then we have knight f5.
That's true. Actually.
And he can't double take because of the g4 problem.
Yeah. Let's say if take and like c6.
Right, and what we're just going to do is we're going to say the knight on h5 is going to be terrible until it goes to f6, and then I'll play g4 and it'll be terrible there too. So I'm just going to play bishop e3.
Yeah. Well, I like white. I like white quite a bit.
Maybe. Yeah, looks very promising, right? So very interesting position where, yeah, queen h5, bishop e3, knight d5. That queen h5, knight f5 looked like the simplest, at least at first glance.
Yeah, I think that's pretty straightforward. Hey, Quasi, yeah, right now we don't have, like, open signups yet just for, like, everyone. We're trying to limit it to starting with, like, the highest group and just kind of moving our way down. But, yeah, you can expect, actually, I really want to do a classical tournament for the dojo, because then we don't have to organize separate round robins. We can just do, like, 50 players or something. We'd have to make pairings once a week, and the only issue with that is that, like, everyone has to finish their games within a week, and so it's going to be hard to enforce and police.
Right, and kind of my dream for this thing was that people don't have to go round by round. Like, you can play your 9th round opponent in the first round, depending on who's available at what time.
Yeah.
And you can play more than one game a week, just to give yourself a little bit of leeway.
Right.
A lot more flexibility than in a Swiss event.
Yeah, because it's a round robin, everyone plays everyone, and so the pairings, the order doesn't matter. They already have their colors for each game, just based on the cross table and the seating. So yeah, they can just play at their own pace, and it makes it a lot simpler to organize. So as soon as we figure out some kind of easy format to, like, run maybe bigger tournaments where we can get, like, just anyone who wants to play involved, we'll try to do that.
And also, Quasi, I should say, if you go to the Discord channel and just go to the tournament channel on Discord, excuse me, you go to Discord to go to the tournament channel, it would not surprise me if somebody drops out of either of these events. We got 20 people, and life will intercede in somebody's life, and then, you can play. Right?
Well, Quasi, I think, would be a little bit lower rated for this group, but definitely can be involved in, like, some of the upcoming round robins, because actually we'll probably need a couple spots. So
right, fair enough. Yeah.
I do want to say the tournament channel is private on Discord, and I'm only going to be putting people that are actually in a tournament in that channel, mainly because, like, we're going to be giving out links for people to, like, submit results and stuff, and then I don't want that to just be an open link, because then anyone can submit results and mess things up, which would be weird. And also, I feel like, if people aren't in the tournament, I don't know if they're really going to want to, like, see all that chat and stuff if they can't participate themselves. So I feel like it's...
So basically, at the moment, you have to be in one of the training groups to be coming to the tournament.
Not necessarily. I mean, we focused on the training players because we know them and we know that, like, they're serious. But there will be a couple of people, like, in the round robins that aren't in the groups.
Let's go to this bishop. He played bishop e3, which is the natural move. And if you're going to just have the objective of playing quickly and not thinking about all the weird stuff that can happen to your life, that would be the move to make.
Yeah, this makes sense.
The drawback is when you consider the bishop f5, or excuse me, the knight f5 trick, black could then play bishop f5, ef, and knight f5, and then there's no g4 fork anymore because you've got knight takes e3 as an out.
Mm-hmm.
Right? The other thing that makes me a little funny about bishop e3 is, like, even if you could take that knight, not totally clear you want to take the knight. If that makes sense, because that's your good bishop at all. So anyways, big decision for black. He could play c5 and just say the knight stays there forever. I think that's what he should probably just, if he wants to play quick.
I think c5 is the move. Yeah, I think bishop d4 is absolutely a threat here. I just don't see any active ideas here for black. I think c5, it just, like, cement the knight. d5, we're always trading this one off, so knight d5 is not really a problem.
Yeah, it's an interesting business. All right, let's analyze for a little bit. So let's say c5. okay, so again, knight d5 is an option. I think now knight f5 is still an option, but like I said, there's that bishop f5, ef, knight f5 thing you got to kind of worry about.
Yeah.
Let me just be clear on that, so because it's really hairy actually. So let's say knight f5. Now, of course, you could just do something like, you know, protect your bishop, but the thing that white would want to be scared of, I guess, is snip, snap, snook, and snock. Is that right? No, it's not like that. Hold on, let me take it back. That was the thing you wanted to be worried about on knight f5 was, or rather, it would go like this. Excuse me. Queen takes, dislocate the knight, then bring this dude in.
Right.
And the hairy variation would be snick and snock. And so there's no g4 because of knight e3. But your light squares just got trashed. But it's still complicated because this is a threat now. And that's, I'm trying to highlight what I felt was the drawback with playing bishop e3.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't look clear at all here. That any of this works for white.
I have no idea what's going on there, though. You know, even that I have no idea. So.
Yeah. No, I mean, the light squares there looked super weak. It just felt like black has enough play. Like e3, g3 is hanging. If we take on b7, we have to worry about like rook b8 there and b2. So it was definitely felt double-edged. I mean, I feel like white could be playing for more here.
Well, yeah, for sure. How about knight f5 directly?
Yeah, this one is interesting. I guess bishop f5, maybe just to try the same thing.
And note that you could play knight f5, and I think you could. Let's see, on knight f5 though, then I could play queen h. So for example, if knight f5, then I take and play ef and claim I'm actually much better than
yeah, right.
Okay, so that's an important detail. And if you were saying bishop f5 here, let's say knight takes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh man. And right, so we're just claiming that the bishop on e3 is an incredible victim now.
Yeah.
So arguably bishop e3 is, you know, is that easy move to make that maybe you regret.
After c5, I think I would regret it.
Still, after c5, I'm sure white can do all kinds of things.
Yeah, it feels like white should be better.
Let's go back just one step here. There should be some move here which gives us at least a pleasant position.
Well, can we still consider knight d5?
Absolutely, yeah, knight d5 for sure.
Queen d1, right?
That's okay, there's all kinds of weird things, but alright, let's play queen d1.
Knight e7.
King f7.
Yeah, take.
Good. King e7 forced.
And
I was thinking you were going to play f4 here.
yeah, this is what I want, just checking if... Yeah, I think f4.
So right, like, black could be concerned, just like long-term, black is potentially concerned about the bishops opening the position. But this one's just hard to judge, right? And black can claim that his king is a beautiful man.
Yeah, like strategically, I would first think that black is doing really well, actually, just like against the two bishops. It's playing against the bishop on g2 is really nice. But to me, it feels like I've gotten in trouble here dynamically from black's point of view, where I just run into like g4, g5, knight f5, everything just like opens up so quickly that I'm not really sure that black is, if black is okay here or not. Like g6 is always super weakening to fe and opening up the bishop. So it would be... It's hard for me to judge these positions, to be honest. I'm often just not sure.
Yeah, and I guess like you're holding knight f5 in your pocket. So like I was looking at this variation with bishop e6. Let's just say b3, and then I was thinking about that move. And now I was like, well, maybe now he hits me with knight f5.
Right.
But that too actually is pretty hairy because I take and I take on f5. That's not so easy.
Wait, maybe white takes on e5 first, so that c5 is hanging?
Okay, snip, snip. Yeah, and I just don't want to take the knight. I just don't want to take the thing. And, right, the other claim that white can make is that if black plays g6, then we're just going to say that the dark squares are way too weak.
To me, it feels like, yeah, non-starter.
Yeah. Okay, so knight d5, definitely lots of interesting options here for white. Knight d5. One funny thing about knight d5 is if he was going to do it, maybe he was going to do it last move, or maybe he hasn't seen it yet.
Whoa, g5.
G5, that looks incorrecto.
He's,
that looks incorrecto.
He's YOLOing. He spent 10 minutes here.
What'd you call it? Yellowing?
YOLOing, like, you only
YOLOing.
live once, yeah.
Right, so the intuition is that at the very least, those knight f5 variations should be even stronger than they were before.
Yeah, it just doesn't... I feel like this doesn't help black's position at all in any of these lines. So now knight f5 just looks like... Well, maybe g4 has hurt white as well. But...
Well, okay, let's... I don't know. I'm going to make it easy on myself. So queen h5. He doesn't have to do this, but let's say this one.
You're still
Like,
bishop f5, I guess.
Okay, let's say bishop f5 and knight takes. Even if I want to be a lame-o, though, and play bishop d2, I do have a threat, right? And it's not so easy because I have this as well as the g4 threat.
Right. Yeah, knight f6 hangs the g5 pawn.
Right, and it's just a classic two-bishop position, right?
Yeah, this does look very nice for white, especially with g5 on the board. Just
And this knight f5 is, of course, the lazy move, right? I'm sure if you wanted to calculate it out, you could come up with something a little bit more interesting than that. Right, but... So...
I don't know. I feel like it shouldn't work. Hey, Sonny. No, you're not too late. I guess the games are now like sharpening up.
Yeah, you came just at the right time. Let's go back to Shock Masteo, and I'll show you what happened here. It got pretty hectic. We got bishop h3. I think this is the position here.
Yeah, rook e8.
Rook e8. And king h1 was played. And dude did snip. All right, let me make sure he didn't first take on g3. No, he took on g3 first.
Yeah, bishop g3, which we weren't expecting, but hits the knight, so okay.
Right, okay, let me take it back. Bishop g3. And then dude said bishop d4.
Yeah.
And that's where we are. Oh no, and then he took on d6.
Right.
And he took on c3.
And then rook ac1.
And just, okay, I'm going to say general intuition is that black is in big trouble. But it's obviously, still pretty messy.
It's messy. To me, it feels like as soon as white plays rook g1 and f4, it's just going to, like, be over. It feels like it's the position has just opened up in white's favor.
Yeah, and we should add that the rook on c1 is by all means an angry man as well. All right, though, I'll defend black's honor. Just for this, I'll take the punches for the team. So I'll play bishop. Maybe I could do bishop d4. That's a little weird. All right, I'm up for the weirdness. Bishop d4. Just to try to make things hard on you.
Sure.
Is CD winning right away? That's...
Need to look like CD, queen c6.
I do have bishop a6 at the end of it, though, so it's not
Yeah.
like immediately over.
Yeah, that's true. It's definitely... Wait, bishop takes e6 check, though?
All right, let's take a look. So, CD,
Yeah.
CD, queen c6. We have very similar ideas if black goes to bishop f6, too. Okay, this is where black needs to be a hero. Bishop a... I mean, what else besides bishop a6, right? I don't know. I really don't know.
Yeah, I don't see another move.
A6. Bishop e6, and that's like... Okay, I don't know. What are you supposed to say to that? what are you supposed to say? No, I guess. No, it's just terrible. Like, I'll just take this dude, you know? And there's,
Right.
I don't think there's any pins and wins on this, because I think I just protect.
This never works. I mean, 95 there. Yeah, it's just like no chance.
Okay, so this, as predicted, it kind of fell apart in a little bit how we were thinking it was going to go.
This was just the concrete stuff on the queen side. It feels like, I don't know. I think in this position, like I mean, if not for this, I would play maybe f4 here, and like g4. The idea would be maybe just work g1 in that position. Just go for that attack.
I feel that, but you know, at least I had dreams that if you went for that, then maybe my bishop on b7 got to talk to your king at least.
Yeah, it's definitely way more unclear, but I think the whole thing just didn't work out for black. Like taking on g3. I don't know. Maybe this is the only thing to do now.
Let me defend his honor. All right, I'll defend his honor. So I'll play this ugly move dc. Oh, excuse me, I can't do that. I did it on the wrong board. Hopefully, I didn't make it for him. I don't think I'm allowed to make it on his board. So it went bishop d4. Here we go. Right, rook ac1.
Oh wait, white took with the bishop.
Oh, that's why I'm getting confused.
Yeah.
Because I'm just trained to take with a pawn there. Okay, so rook ac. Oh wait. Oh, but he already took on c3. So when I was thinking about defending his honor, I was thinking that maybe you should have played d. It's ugly, but I was going to take on. At some point, take on c4 first, just
Sure.
so that I keep the c file closed.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, so like here, but obviously that point is gone in the game, a little bit moot, and now all the tempos belong to white. Yeah. Wait a second. No. Yeah, this is the position. What about DC now? I think we're still thinking about that, right?
This is still possible. Yeah, absolutely.
At least now I won't get raged on the C file. I am opening the D file, and I'm not happy about it, but you know, what am I supposed to do?
Right.
Obviously, or I think it's obvious, that queen takes C3 is a very nice endgame for white, but he might have more than just a better endgame at this point.
Yeah, I would definitely look for more. Oh, looks like the other game is over?
Over.
1-0? What happened here? Oh, black won by abandonment. That seems like
abandonment.
It seems like that was probably an accident. Or disconnection.
Oh, man. That might be actually, you know what that might point to is like a problem with playing longer games on chess.com, because if someone disconnects, right, if you disconnect in a blitz game, it's no big deal. But if you're going to play like several hours, then the chance for a disconnection is just much higher, right? And so there has to be some kind of way to like reboot the game in the event of a disconnection.
Yeah.
It's like blitz culture. It's blitz rules culture, which I totally get. I think if you're playing blitz and someone disconnects, just end the game. It's not like you're going to reconstruct the game and start it again. But if we're playing a longer game, yeah, we need some other.
That's a real bummer. I mean, they could restart the game with just the lower times. You know, they can split the difference, like 55 minutes each, because it's not such a huge deal, and then just play out the first couple of moves. And I'm gonna suggest they do that. It sounds like Counterspark's telling me that his opponent's internet died.
Right.
Because, I mean, this is all for training anyway. I don't think anyone really cares about...
Oh, we care.
The points.
we care. We have a tournament thing scheduled as a big point. We just gets a point. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm hoping he doesn't want the free point. No, it doesn't seem like he does.
Anyways, we'll see if they get that figured out.
Yeah, so let's go back to this other game. So black is still thinking here, which is good because his position is extremely critical. Maybe he's also thinking about d4? Is that possible?
Yes, I guess it's possible.
You know, e3 c5 and hoping for the light squared bishop to come alive.
All right, yeah, let's look at d4. You know, the sad thing about d4, of course, is now the bishop doesn't get to talk to the king side anymore.
Yeah, just rook g1.
Yeah, so let's just do, we just bring the party over to the other side of the board, and we're up a piece over there. We're up several pieces now on the king side.
Mm-hmm.
Rook g3 next, and then the party starts.
Right, we don't even need f4, so if c5, just rook g3 and...
Let's just go through a couple more moves. Bishop b7, rook over, h6, and I think several moves are good. But queen c1 looks good.
I like knight f4.
Knight f4 looks fancy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just bringing the knight over.
No, that's got to be winning. And both bishops are really out. That's why, you know, actually it points to this intuition I had of just don't even move the s3 pawn.
Right.
Just leave them toast.
Yeah.
Okay, dude played bishop f6. We that was definitely one of the moves we were thinking about. Let's maybe promote that somehow. Bishop f6. I'll promote it here. All right, and I guess let's ask the first easy question: does CD win immediately? Does it end the game? It looks really hard to deal with.
I mean, ED, queen c6, everything is hanging. Yeah, CD, queen c6. Seems
Okay,
like the same lines.
I got it. Oh, I was about to say I had an idea, but I don't. I was gonna make up some story about how. No, there's no good story here. No, I don't got anything. It looks totally crushing, and it makes sense too. It's just like all the black pieces are dying, and of course, you know, that it wasn't the fault necessarily of G5, and I'll tell you a story. I had that similar line. If I can show this. Yeah, let me just show quickly this position where bishop f4, something like this happened. I had this position in an actual game a couple months ago against the 2250 FIDE rated or something, and it was like first round of a tournament, and I wanted to win real bad, and I got a terrible position, and it felt it was much easier for white to play, and I also committed the G5 thing at some point, and you know, man, I got kind of ripped up. I ended up drawing the game miraculously, but I was lost. I was lost. So very similar experience to what's going on here, which I mean, after CD, it's game over.
Well, it looks like he missed it. Rook g1 on the board. A bit unfortunate. I mean, Shock Masteo, he's participated in my streams a lot. Oh, looks like they restarted their game, which is nice. That's cool. He's a pretty sharp guy. I feel like he is normally pretty good in calculating and tactics, but I guess he just didn't. Maybe he stopped there after bishop a6, didn't find bishop takes d6, or yeah, looks like he just had rook g1 planned this whole time, so he kind of misses a concrete win there.
Yeah. Well, the truth is, maybe he's still totally winning Rook G1. Right? I mean, Rook G1, it still looks very hard to beat.
Probably is winning. I mean, it's just an open G file, and White has a lot more play here.
Okay, I'll defend Black's move. Here we go. So Rook G1, Bishop B7. I'll promote this Rook G1 thing.
Yeah. Hey guys who are watching the stream. Hey, and I'm Yang. So this is like a new round robin tournament that we're running in Chess Dojo. There's actually 2 different sections. We got like 20 players ready to play. All the games are 90 plus 30, and they can just play whenever they want. And we're trying to cover some of the games. Here I definitely like Knight F4 again.
Of course, it makes sense. Oh, and it's really an extra special bummer that you're hitting E6 square.
Yeah.
Okay, Queen F7. One jerk face move you could play on me would be Bishop G4.
Oh, that's cold.
And I don't even know what I'm supposed to do, honestly. Because Bishop H, you know, like I can't move the rook away from E8. What am I going to do? Put the queen back on G7? No, I can't. What am I supposed to do? I don't know. That looks like Grover right there.
Yeah, that's it. That's just game over.
Quasi, I think this tournament is 1,800 plus. You know, and actually this brings us to an interesting point, Kostya. Maybe we need a 2,000 plus thing. Depends, you know, depends how many people we have and stuff. And I'll say we had a very enjoyable session today. We did 2 hours on a game between Bubba Tough and Weak Chess, who's not weak at all. Very, and definitely that one, I say that was, I don't know, master level game. And, yeah, we had a good session. It was really interesting. And Bubba Tough, like, you know, is one of these players, you know, I don't know who the guy is because he goes by Bubba Tough, and I don't know, you know, I don't know him personally or anything, but he clearly had mapped out this winnower variation and understood the plans really well.
Mm-hmm.
One of these positions where you just assume, or I assume, that he was toast, and he had a lot of interesting resources and plans that he was kind of already familiar with. Anyways, so what am I saying? That those study groups I feel like are going to evolve, just in terms of numbers and how we organize it. And the other interesting thing that I could bring up here, it's just, it might be interesting for me to talk to Kostya about, because Kostya does his class totally differently, which is fine. And Kostya's like giving problems and positions.
Yeah, full-blown lectures.
Full-blown lectures, right? And mostly because I'm just committed to the idea that reviewing your games is the way to improvement. I'm doing it with game review, and what's cool is a lot of people on that group are submitting games, and of course I can only cover one at a time, so there's a lot of games I don't cover, and so like the real work goes for people annotating their games, hopefully, you know, with a real board and a pencil and that kind of thing. Anyways, what am I trying to say? We're evolving this training. It's interesting. We need feedback. Like, we need people to come in and being like, oh yeah, this is the way it should be done, or you need to have this group and that group, and you know, there's so many different things that we could offer. And yeah, I think it has a lot of potential. We also are just totally unclear about how we're financing it, right? At the moment, we're just hoping people subscribe to the Twitch channel, and that could change too. I don't know how we're going to do it long term.
No, that's basically the plan. It's just going to be trying trying to provide an environment like where people come in seeking chess improvement, and they can join the dojo. They can subscribe to one of our specific philosophies, hopefully follow a plan, maybe join a training group. Yeah, I've always just been kind of doing it for the sake of community, but yeah, hopefully it becomes like financially sustainable. That would be truly amazing. It would be like an online chess club, basically.
So black played queen h6, definitely better than the moves that I was putting out there. And black, it definitely feels completely lost, but you know, he's fighting. And white played rook g3, which is thematic, though maybe he's missing a chance here. Because the famous knight f4 is at least a move here, but it does get pretty hectic.
Knight f4 looks nice. Knight f2 looks interesting as well. Just kind of
Knight f2 looks interesting.
creeping on knight g4.
God, rook g3 was like really brutalistic.
Rook g3, yeah, is very crisp.
Okay, before we give him too much credit, let's say bishop b7.
Probably he wants rook g1.
Yeah, that's what we gotta assume. And I'm gonna get out of dodge.
Now we gotta try to break through. Well, I can be spoil sport and play cd5 and queen c7.
Well, the intention anyways was for me to play ed.
Oh, then can I take on d7, or you have something cooked up?
Why is taking on d7 the end of the world, though?
I don't know.
This is
like knight e5, right? Take.
Oh, wow! You know what? I was so used to the earlier positions where my queen was on g7 that I was like, I'm gonna play queen d7. No, I can't play queen d7. No, that looks horrible then. All right, let me try again. Rook g3. Ah, this is so miserable. Okay, so let's just say there's so many drawbacks to queen h6. One of which is, like, you can't defend the pawn with your pawn. The other is you might get set up with a tempo with rook h3. And you lost communication with the second rank.
Yeah. Well, I guess his idea is on the board. He wanted to go e5.
Okay.
I mean, it might just be getting worse, but at least it's kind of consistent, because now the bishop is not going to b7.
And white immediately played rook cg1.
Yeah, quickly too. I mean, maybe he doesn't have huge options here, but
isn't pawn takes pawn the end of El Worldo? Isn't that the end of the game?
Oh, and queen c6 again?
Yeah.
Yeah. He missed it once. I think he missed it twice.
Yeah, it's totally brutal. It's just like this rook was such a victim. I hated playing that rook d8. Yeah, it was a real bummer.
Yeah, definitely a little bit of tunnel vision here from white, just not like seeing cd5 in every position. He just goes here. Black is still alive, but
no, alive. We gotta put. Okay, this is his chance. This is his chance. Is that what he did?
Yeah,
it makes sense. And at least now he has fulfilled some of the dreams, right? And white's played with, let's call it a little bit of too much single-mindedness. And yeah, I don't know, black suddenly maybe not toast.
No, it must be bad, but it's not.
But why is it? What is concretely though? What do you got anymore?
Well, okay. Let's say we just take on c8, rook c8. And I just want to go knight f2.
Okay, my pro tip there is if you wanted to do that, you could just play knight f2 directly.
That's true.
I don't. Maybe it's not such a big thing, but okay, it might be similar anyway. So let's pursue it for a second. Now I go queen g6.
E4, I think is. Oh, I don't know. Maybe not. All right, we'll try e4.
Do you have a threat?
Yeah, I'm gonna go knight g4.
Okay. I'm gonna get out of dodge with this h6 thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm gonna get out of dodge. No, it's not totally lost.
It's not over. I feel like it's a really bad position, but
Well, that's what I mean, though. After knight f8, we better come up. We need something now. You know, we need it now because black's pieces are starting to come to life a little bit.
yeah, no, I definitely agree. White has let it slip quite a bit. Maybe we try this knight f2 first. This is pretty smart.
All right, knight f2. Let's say queen g6 again. Maybe how about queen d2 now?
Queen d2, sure.
So if h6, at the very least, you have cd.
Yeah.
And that looks crushing. So let me see if I have something better than queen g6. Hard to imagine, honestly. Oh, maybe it's not too hard. Okay, bishop h3. Oh, maybe knight h3 now.
Knight h3 is pretty annoying. Queen f5.
This is toast. This is just toast. Okay, let me ask you a question. Do we have a link to their new setup? And did they get it going?
Yeah. Then the game has been restarted.
Let's see if I can. Maybe I could even find it on my own. I don't know. It's so hard on chess.com to find things. But the nice thing is,
I think
they might have changed the time control too.
Yeah, they shortened it. I think if you type /follow space counter sparks in just the
That's the one.
That was the trick.
Follow counter sparks. Bam. Oh, command is invalid. How do I backspace?
Wait.
FOLLOL. Follow.
/. Yeah.
But I do follow backslash or backslash follow?
/ first.
Right, and then counter sparks. Oh, it's gonna tell me no. Oh, now I got it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it worked. So yeah, they started with maybe something like
It was like 47. So they shortened it a bit, which is totally fine.
So we got this 90. So knight d5, knight e2 happened.
Yeah.
Holy moly!
Let's put it on the. It was.
Promote that variation here.
Bishop e3, g5. Right. There we go.
And black played. Oh wait, no g5. No, white played knight d5. Now, as we said, it would have been making life easy to go queen h5, and so knight d5 is the move to go for the kill. Knight e2 check to the miserable king. King h2. And this might be complicated. This might be really complicated. All right, Kostya, what is going on here?
Well, it's super concrete. I definitely feel like I don't trust this for black. But okay, this guy's hanging. This guy's hanging. If we take on d5, we're taking with check, which gives us a tempo to then save the knight. Bishop f3 is also a potential threat here.
Okay, let me. Okay, so I'm gonna say I'm not. Oh God, this is so okay. If I play GH, the thing I have to worry about is knight e7 check, king moves, and g4.
Yeah, that too.
Okay, so yeah, right, very concrete.
So maybe there's some sack, like bishop g4.
Right, and then I don't have the out of knight takes c8.
Yeah.
Now, that being said, let me try something else just to see if I can make it easy. King f7. Let's say now I take on c8. And so rook a c8, I'm assuming g4 is going to win.
Yeah, but we also don't want to throw in this one because it's just...
Well, then you're opening the f-file, exactly.
Yeah.
Right, so that was my point.
Yeah, here I don't really see any special tricks for black after g4.
Right.
Looks like we're just losing. So that's out. Gh4 is bad. Seems like the thing should be to just take on d5 and go like king h8. Because at least now the knight on e2 is not hanging, so we can always get out with knight d4. Or maybe even knight f4.
Yeah. Okay, let me just make an obvious move here. So knight f5.
Yeah, it doesn't look great.
No, and anytime you hit me with c6, I think I go queen d1, and it's a bummer.
Yeah, I was thinking take, but c6, queen d1.
And the whole g4 thing is coming again and again. I'm going to guess when black played g5, he didn't anticipate that the knight f5 tactics were always going to work against him.
Yeah.
And knight e2 is the move of a man that unless you see something concrete after king h2, it's a desperation move.
It feels very desperate. I mean, he spent only 5 minutes here, so
Well, he had all that time to think while they were down, right?
Well, I think it was white's turn. I mean, I think white disconnected before playing knight d5.
Okay, we did get some moves. It was knight e2, king h2, gh. So this all happened. Knight e7. And we're waiting for black to move. So our take was that at the very minimum, white was much better. After, say, king f7, knight c8. There might be more fancy things than that, too.
I think that's just a piece for white, so I think more than just much better. I don't know, I think if he thought his situation was lost, then spending only 5 minutes here is kind of a mistake. Like, he should spend...
Okay, let me try to defend his honor. Okay, so gh, knight e7, king f7, and we're saying g4, maybe black lives, bishop g4. That's plausible.
Yeah.
The knight c8, let's just note that the knight is actually stuck right now.
True.
Okay, so the question is, do I have anything cool?
I guess there's knight d4. I mean, you don't lose the piece.
I just play knight d4. This one isn't Grover. I mean, maybe I'm down. Maybe the endgame's just toast for me. Okay, black. Yeah, the problem is
I would play g4, queen g6, take here.
Yeah, I would just go for the endgame because honestly, the endgame also just looks kind of crushing.
Yeah, endgame looked good. I was just thinking this one and f4.
Yeah. All right, let's see if he's got something else besides knight d4. It's a hard life.
Yeah, hard to see how black gets out. Hey, Night Store. How you doing?
Yeah, black's thinking about it. I mean, I don't know. It seems like king f7. Wait, yeah. Okay, all right. Let's give him. Let's think. He's obviously thinking about king g7, and we're just going to wonder: does that actually make a difference? So we're not touching the knight on e7, but maybe we don't care too much. So that on knight c8, I'm going to hope that some kind of. Let's just put that on the board. I'm going to hope that some kind of hg is going to save me.
Oh, hg knight g4. Oh, that's huge. That's a huge difference.
And yeah. Okay.
King h8. Same idea.
Is that what he put? Is that what he did?
Mm-hmm. King h8.
Oh, very good. Okay. King h8.
Oh, maybe this is genius.
Okay, let's check it out, man. Really. Okay. So, and there is a concrete threat because of hg and knight g4.
Yeah. So then, I mean, g4 might become critical then in this position where black has to be ready to sack. But this sack looked, especially with the g-file potentially open, this just looked super dangerous. Yeah.
h3, yeah, hello. Hello.
This just looks bad.
Okay, let's go back to this king h8, critical position for white. One of these things where you're probably telling yourself, this wasn't supposed to happen to me. I deserved better than this.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on though. I still don't believe it. So, I'll tell you what. Let me see if I can make just a simple bailout move. Let's say GH. And
GH, but no more threat to trap the knight. So then just bishop e6 has to be like the ambitious way here.
the weird thing is you can't play queen h4. But okay, it's definitely hectic.
Yeah, g4, Eric, actually we just covered this one. We would be very concerned about bishop takes g4. Takes h3, and it looks like white is just getting mated here. Just nothing to do. So, and if we don't do anything, then takes knight g4 is a big problem. So that's why we're trying to solve the issues with gh. Wow, this turned around very quickly, actually.
And speaking of turnarounds, we got ourselves a hectic thing going on in the other game. We got ourselves... Okay, I don't have any answers for what just happened with king h8. It looks like gh, at least it's not white who's losing, or at least not yet. But in the other game, too, white, I think, made it weird for himself with f4. Maybe it's
g4.
Maybe it's just totally winning, but this is making my head spin.
Yeah, I think I understand what's going on now. Like, I'm used to doing commentary on, like, GM, Super GM tournaments, and then when someone is winning, they usually just win the game really cleanly. But here, it's like, nothing can be taken for granted. I mean, even in my games, it's like, nothing can be taken for granted, but here, like, especially, I haven't been preparing myself for the turnarounds.
Well, that's what I think one of the fun things about this is a little bit like college basketball. Like, anything can happen.
Yeah.
Anything can happen. So, all right, let's get into this f4 thing. Can we put that on the board with the analysis board?
Yeah, let's try to find this one. G3, E5.
So, right, oh, wait, first we got rook G1. Oh, God, okay, yeah, rook G1. And then knight F8 happened.
Yeah.
And then not anything, but the wild F4, but bam.
F4, wow. What a move.
Yeah, I don't know if it was what a move. And let me just ask the first question. What is going to go on after EF?
That's what black did, so this is live. I'm guessing the idea was to play knight takes.
Right, I guess your bishop's hanging, yada yada.
So yeah, couldn't take on h3 one move ago because FG I think is just probably too dangerous. So this feels like it should be good for white. I mean, I just believe in, like, we have two rooks, black only has one, so therefore, like, white should be breaking through here by force. But maybe it's not so easy.
Okay, what is the threat? White's threat is
threat.
Like, okay, so I'll tell you what. I'll just play. Let me try knight G6.
G6. Maybe bishop c8, rook c8.
Whoa, what?
Oh, no?
I take on f4, right?
Oh.
Oh, no, then you're going to play rook g6.
Rook g6. Rook g6, yeah.
Okay, good. So you're right, bishop h, in which case I think you are at least, I don't know, actually, I'm not clear. So rook h3, and you probably wanted Rook h3 now, right?
Yeah.
Okay, queen g7.
Knight h5.
And I just lost, I guess. Okay, so on queen f7, I got to worry about some rook to the f file.
Yeah.
So let me go abjectly, abjectly to h8. Maybe I could have gone to f7. It was, of course, the scariest thing I've ever seen in my life. But
well, black's position looks like it must be busted. Queen f5,
queen
maybe.
f5, queen
Maybe
f5
take first, but yeah.
Okay, yeah, it does look really bad. So that's actually on the board, huh? Knight f4 on the board.
Knight f4 on the board. So yeah, it looks like his threat is bishop c8, rook h3, knight h5. And taking on f6, collapsing the dark squares, and maybe going queen f5.
Oh, man. Okay. Yeah, it does feel like it's way more complicated. All right, I got another idea here. Let's try knight e6.
Yeah, not so easy. Let's see. Let's try taking.
When you say taking, I don't know what. Okay,
Oh, sorry, CD.
sorry. CD, knight f4.
Yeah, I'll take here.
And you're clearly saying I'm totally lost if I play bishop h3, so we might as well see it.
Yeah. Thought this one.
And then you got like a queen c3 check at the end. Yeah, so like let's play it out for the fans. And then the end of the world. Boom. Right?
Yeah, just looks too open. The other way as well.
So cd5. If I don't play knight f4, what am I supposed to do, right? Because cd, knight d5, and that's got to be toast.
Yeah, I was thinking queen c6 as well.
Yeah, okay.
Our favorite.
So, I don't know, that feels real bad then if I gotta do that. Okay, so knight e6, I guess we can reject. You know, the sad thing for black is I feel like, well, we can argue that white maybe made it harder for himself, but black's position was just so terrible.
Yeah, from the get-go, right?
They're like, what were you supposed to do?
That white can miss like multiple strong continuations and still just have like a very, very healthy position. Oh, it looks like we're about to get knight g4 on the board in the other game.
Yeah, let's look. It felt lost to us, but let's double check here.
Hmm.
So, right, black is. Oh my God, how did this happen? Right, we have so many variations. We've got to separate them. Oh man, where is it? So it's not that one. Hold on. It's like, oh man. Okay, I think I know it. Okay, we got this. Okay, let me go back a couple moves. I got it. So. King h8 happened, knight c8 happened,
Yeah.
hg, fg happened, and black is calculating the effects of knight g4. So go knight g4.
Right, because rook on f8 is also hanging, so it's not so easy for black here to just take on e3 or take on g3.
Knight g3, king g1, let's say knight f1.
Mm-hmm. Okay, bishop f1 looks.
Yeah, so there's bishop f1, and there is queen g4. Queen g4 doesn't look like it's going to work. And on hg, I think we're saying that knight.
There's a mate. There's a mate.
Oh, there's an actual mate. Yeah.
Yeah. Kramnik mate, the one he missed, like...
So bishop f1, right? It's really hard for me to figure out. Now, the thing, though, is that knight is trapped. So even if we're lamos and play knight f6, not really... Black's just going to be up to exchange, right?
Isn't knight trapped, though? I mean, gets out through e7.
Oh, my God, I'm having a rough day today.
Oh, yeah, that's all right. Yeah, no worries.
I've hung several things here. Okay, so let's say bishop f1.
Yeah, knight g4, king h1 on the board, so we're definitely going here.
Man. Okay, here's a thought. So let's say rook g8.
Yeah, rook g8, maybe bishop g2.
And then I'm going to take the knight.
Yeah, take.
This conceivably would have transposed too if you had played hg first. But yeah.
Yeah, or black could also like take the knight on c8 and we probably get here as well.
Right.
Though maybe white has more options because I think this move order was pretty good. This position feels like it... I mean, clearly black is better, right? Just the question is how much better.
Well, but... Oh, and here's a nice tactic. Queen f3, you've got rook g2.
Yeah.
So let me try queen f1 and claim I'm not sure yet because queen f6 might be annoying.
Wait, rook g2... One sec. King takes...
Oh, you still have rook g2. And rook g8. Oh, you're saying maybe that's not the ending.
Yeah, I didn't see it here.
Yep, good point. Good point.
But I just feel like black doesn't have to do this. Like, it just seems like...
Like you want to play queen g6?
Yeah, just queen g6, exactly. Rook g8, h5.
So, alright, I'll play ball here. Rook f1.
Mm-hmm.
Rook f2.
Okay, h5?
You have loads of moves too. You could play rook g3.
Yeah.
Yeah, very interesting position. So let's double check our business.
Right.
Because that was clearly, I've been blundering so much that it's clear that I could mess something up there. On the board is this knight g4, king h1 thing.
Yeah.
So let's backstep it here a second. So, right, knight g4 on the board, king h1. Besides...
There's also the immediate rook takes f1 we can throw in. Not sure if...
Okay, yeah, because there's no queen f1.
Yeah.
So bishop f1. Oh, well, wait a second. Aren't we just playing knight e3? No, because then there's no. We're not. We're not playing on knight e3. He's got queen e2.
Yeah, and then it's
Even
not.
then, I don't know what's going on in
It's
that.
not obvious there, but I feel like black should be going for more.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah. So.
Oh, rook f1 played.
Okay, so clearly bishop f1's question.
Kind of fast there, though. I feel like black here is just not spending enough time. Like.
Well, he might have some crazy idea. I mean, that's the thing, right? Is there some nasty move that the guy can do here?
I guess if he sees something concrete, it's fine. Yeah, but I don't know. I guess we'll see. Bishop f1 is played. Because we're just thinking like taking on g3 allows black to at least take with the knight on f1. So grabbing some material. And I wasn't seeing it. I mean, I think this rook g8 line was definitely good enough. We're taking here first maybe. And then going for this.
That's more complicated because maybe I have bishop e2 or something.
Yeah.
Even that's not.
I was thinking this as well, but yeah, just queen h3, like it just looks very weak for white. I think the rooks are just dominating. So we'll see if he shows something clear here, but...
Oh yeah, what is is it?
Not sure. His takes, it's going to be king g1.
Alright, let's put that on the board just because. King g1.
Could take on e3 now, but all these lines are not clear.
Okay, so takes on e3. Let's just presume queen h5 is forced.
Yeah.
Let's presume knight e7 is forced. And isn't it true that black is up a pawn?
We're at least up a pawn. I mean, it should be good for black. It just feels like there was more available.
This does look winning to me. Like knight g3, it looks like you're going to win another pawn.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Chess is brutal.
I don't really know. Bishop d3?
I'm not sure either. That's a wealth. Let's just see if it's forced. If it's forced, that's it. I don't mind him doing this. The other position was very nice, but this one does look like, if not technically winning, it looks beautiful because that knight on e3 is a monster. I'm assuming queen h5 is forced.
I'm actually worried about the knight on e3 because I feel like bishop d3, king f2, and the knight is stuck.
Okay, so what, bishop... Okay, go ahead, play for white. Try to give him... You defend white's honor.
Yeah, exactly. Let me let me go knight e7.
Okay. So if I feel really sad about life, I could play knight c2, d4, but I'm not that sad. Let's play knight f4. This is terrible.
Oh no, I agree. It looks bad. But I was thinking, okay, black could even, you could take on f1 and play knight f4, and I think black has like a big advantage.
Yeah.
Like extra pawn, white's pawns are
yeah.
weaker. But I like knight f4 even more because it's like white has no move. So no, I think it's good. I just think the other position was easier to win. Like if black went there and got like the two rooks versus the bishop and can just pile on.
Now that, of course, I'm going to say it's easier to sack somebody else's pieces. You know, he's just taking some pawns and going home. You wanted to sack stuff. And yeah, I agree. What you did was very strong. But from a practical level, I'm kind of into it. Now, some weird stuff happened. Knight g6 did happen.
Switching? Yeah, switching.
So then bishop c8. Rook c8, and we were concerned with rook h3, and it looked winning to us, but dude has played knight h3. And let's just say something obvious. Jacques Masteo is obsessed with winning the g-pawn.
Yeah.
Right? And this might also be winning, but I'll just say it makes me nervous because now, even if you crack the g5 square, let's just assume you're going to crack the g5 square, the game isn't over because my knight is a pretty cool blocker there. And I believe rook e6 was played. You got that all on the
rook
board?
e6 and queen f5, yeah.
And right, you're going to win that pawn. Actually, I don't even know exactly how it's going to go down. Like, let's make the obvious move, rook c8.
Right. And now I can take on g5. I mean, potentially. I'm not sure, actually. This bishop is hanging.
If you wanted to be really fancy about the g5 square, you could play bishop f4.
Yeah.
But this is not the party you wanted to be at.
No, I don't even think it's that clear after, like, maybe a knight takes f4.
Yeah, I have no idea what's going on. But this is the trend that he's been going on. He's been for ages now. He's been hyper focused on the g5 point. Right, with knight h3 and all those. I think it was 2 opportunities. He had what seemed to us to be winning moves with cd.
Yeah, it definitely feels like some tunnel vision from white. He also has 51 minutes on his clock. His opponent has 17. So, like, I mean, black's position has been a lot harder, but it seems like white should be spending more time here on his moves, like looking for the strongest continuation. Like last time he spent time was on f4. He spent 9 minutes here. takes, knight takes f4. Okay, it's forced. Knight g6. And then 53 seconds on bishop takes c8. I'm not sure about that. I feel like...
Well, right, he was just because he was obsessed with knight h3 and yada yada.
Yeah, then 10 seconds for knight h3. I mean, clearly, like, rook h3, knight h5 should at least be considered.
He is at least tanking now, which he should be, you know.
Well, he hasn't tanked yet. Queen f5 was another somewhat fast move, and now...
Oh, he's already played queen f5? Oh, you're right.
Yeah, queen f5 is on the board.
Are you sure? I got rook e6 as the last move. Maybe I'm...
Oh yeah, that's weird. I have queen f5, rook c8, and it's white to play.
Let me refresh. That always works for me. Yeah, you're right. I just needed to refresh. So, right, we predicted that with queen f5, rook e8, and we didn't know what white was supposed to do.
Yeah.
Now Shakmasdale's going to think. I mean, when you play queen f5, rook c8 is the only move. So, right, he's doing a thing which I think... let me just say this. When I imagine playing online, right, with all the distractions and yada yada, it would be hard for me to focus, and I can imagine playing just kind of superficially and then having all this extra time, precisely like what Shakmasdale's got.
Yeah.
And then being like, oh no, maybe not so clear.
Yeah, that's the biggest problem for everyone. It's just like being able to go deep in online games and actually like thinking and not just playing that like obvious move that looks good. I mean, queen f5 is probably fine, but I mean, yeah, it gets hard to sink into a position when suddenly it's critical. You really have to be precise here, and I mean, bishop on d6 is hanging. White doesn't just want to back up. Like, maybe white's position is so good, you can just go bishop a3 and just bishop c1.
Where we wanted to go originally. So, yeah.
This black's position is pretty weak here. I don't know what black's next move is. Maybe knight h4 is the only,
right. Let me try to defend white's honor. So bishop f4, because I think that's what the guy's going to... He wants to do it anyway. This has been his obsession for a long time. So I'm going to follow his obsession and see if it's winning.
Yeah. Well, let's just try gf4.
Well, then I have rook g6.
Yeah, I don't know if that's so clear. Like, take... rook g6, queen g6, queen g6, bishop g7.
Oh, what happened here? What happened here? Wait a second. So you got...
David would be proud of me. We always argue about the two rooks versus the queen.
Yeah. All right. I see how it's hard. Okay, let me try queen h5, and I just want to play knight d5 next. And I'm mildly threatening cd. I'm not at all sure what's going on.
Yeah.
Especially since my knight g5, it's not clear I'm really threatening anything.
Doesn't look like a mate threat, yeah.
No. Okay, so let's say good. That's problem number one for white is on bishop f4, maybe you just take the thing.
Looks like he went for rook takes g5. Wow. Exchange stack.
My god, what is happening here? Okay. Alright, the first piece of good news with this rook g5 is if I take on d6 now...
Yeah, it's a better version.
It's a better version because then the rook on d6 will be hanging after bishop g7.
Right.
Okay, so let's... Oh, okay, this is... Okay, so the idea is... Let's put the idea on the board. Bishop takes, knight takes, rook takes bishop, queen f7, and then takes... And then we're presumably golden.
Right.
Okay, so rook g5 on the board, and I think Kostyanites sense that black should have something. But,
I don't know. Actually, it does feel pretty good for white. But it is concerning. He only spent like 3.5 minutes on this one. Like, if it's a winning move, you're not going to need the extra time. So, like, maybe double check and make sure. Or give yourself more time to calculate, like, some of the complications here. Maybe black is, maybe black just plays queen g7. Like, does he have a move ready? Okay, rook g6. I'm trying to find a move where, like, he doesn't have a move ready, and black will, you know, it would be nice to have calculated it ahead of time, just to put more pressure on the opponent.
Okay, let's just say he's got a bailout, after which white will be better, which is bishop g5, knight g5, queen g5. Not pretty, but it's a bailout. And looks should be winning for white, but you know, it's not over.
Should be, yeah.
Okay, so let's just see. Rook g5. This is definitely the moment that Mr. Quirk wants to be thinking about life.
Yeah, I wanted king f7, but rook g6 and then knight g5 is super annoying.
I'm not sure that's the end of the world. Because I moved the king and then what?
Moving the king to...
Oh, and then knight e6 and then I'm pinned. Good,
Yeah.
I like it. Yeah. Quirk's thinking about it. Okay. Well, at the very least, it's not easy for us to figure out.
Actually, king g7, I was thinking rook h5, but then maybe... Oh, there's going to be rook h7 too. Like, queen goes somewhere, rook takes h7.
How about just bishop d4? Can I do that move?
Hmm. That's a move. That's counterplay. Rook f1 maybe?
Okay, is queen f7 like a diabolical... Is it a threat? It does prevent me from taking d6, that's true.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if it's like a real threat though.
So let's see if there's something better in rook f1, because that...
Yeah, maybe
First of all, we have to honor Jacques Masteo's single-mindedness. He doesn't want to go to f1. He's been focused on the g file the entire time. The entire time.
Ah, I see. So knight f4 then is the move.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
All right, so I feel like there's going to be various things happening here. Now, one good news for black is if I play bishop g1, it's this. Knight e6, the bishop controls the mate threat.
Mm-hmm.
Now, does white actually have a threat in this position? This is the thing I don't understand.
Well, just taking on g1.
I mean, other than that, that's why I'm wondering where to move the bishop.
Oh, I see, yeah. Well, bishop e3, rook h5 is annoying. I guess our next move is probably knight f4 if we're not taking on g1.
Here's a funny variation. Bishop e3, rook h5, knight h4. No, I guess he has to go this. I was hoping I was going to trick you with a mate here, but you could just play rook. No, rook h4, I have rook e6.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, can we... Let's pause here. Knight h4, my no way signal just went off. Like,
yeah. I don't see anything immediately anyway.
wow, what a move.
I mean, it was my only move with the bishop, right? I was like, where else was I going to put the thing?
Sure.
And one thing that's kind of hilarious about the position is that there's been several moves now that if white could have thrown in CD at any point, then we would be, I guess, just toast because of the d5 point. And that's never happened. So that's one of the interesting problems. So let's just go to exactly what position. We're talking about this position here with rook takes g5, which is played. And Jacques Masteo does have loads of extra time, which I assume he's going to need because it will get hairy, as we saw just now.
Right. It's gonna have to be. It's very tough for black, though. I'd imagine like he's gonna have a very hard time just surviving.
Do you see any other moves for black besides bishop d4?
There's definitely moves he can make. I don't know if any of them are good. Bishop d4 definitely feels like the best chance.
Oh, I guess you could also play bishop g7. But, yeah, I don't know.
Rook h5, rook h7, maybe?
Yeah, I have no idea what's going on.
Even just knight g5, you know.
Rook h5, queen e3.
Yeah, I think just knight g5 here.
Yeah, okay. Whew, man, that's rough. That's rough. Yeah, so he's gonna need, black needs something a little bit more.
Actually,
Okay,
he did something interesting. He took on e2, which we didn't really consider.
Let's see here. So, rook g5, bishop g5, knight g5, rook e2. Now, the good news for white is that the bishop on d6 holds the business over there. Okay, so there's no direct threat for black that I see anyway, and
Yeah, and it's nice that he's up in exchange because white can only win in exchange with this trick. So black would be totally fine with this, you know, 100%.
huh. This, yeah, we were making much more harder on ourselves if this works. I mean,
Yeah.
we were thinking somehow if he penetrated f7, it would be something special.
We thought like, oh, rook d6 is the only move here, and then we just take the rook on e8, and of course we're should be winning there somehow. But yeah, this one is actually not so easy for white. Feels like there should be something, but I mean, I don't know actually. Like sometimes the rooks just defend here.
Let me point out an obvious tactic that I'm sure people are looking at is queen f7. Oh wait, I'm doing it on the wrong board. I always have this fear when I do it on the wrong board that they can like see me moving. Okay, you already did it. I was looking at the wrong board.
Right. Oh, we have CD. We have CD on the board.
CD, right.
Okay, I wonder if this was his idea or if this is just him trying to play for the clock.
Well, okay, so now let's say the CD does present some obvious problems because if you play, let's say, c5, then my knight's going to be able to park itself on e6.
Yeah.
And if you play CD, then I'm assuming queen d5 is immediately lost. Though maybe I'm wrong there too.
I actually don't see it after king g7.
Right. So yeah. Can we get away with this?
I mean, white can definitely go for that endgame with queen f7, and white is not worse at all. Probably better.
At least in that position, we won a pawn. That was important. That
Yeah,
we won a pawn.
We got the pawn back, right?
All right, it's hard to imagine it's all going to go to an endgame, but this might be forced. It might be what we see. Probably black, I assume, has enough to equalize with rook e2 coming.
Yeah. Okay, instead we're getting much more ambition from black. Rook e1. Just ignoring trading rooks, following this principle.
But I think rook e1, now the queen f7 is just a much stronger business. Queen e8,
Yeah.
rook e8, knight f7, snip, snap, snop, snook. And that should be lost.
Yeah, that's a big error from black.
Now maybe there's something even more devastating than that, but that looks lost.
Yeah, this just looks, totally over.
So we were saying, now maybe black had something better than CD, but it's this bizarre thing where black doesn't have any.
Not a lot of obvious moves for black. Yeah, everything is kind of on.
If you wanted to do the weird, oh man, no. I mean, if even like let's say Queen G7, then DC. Anytime I get DC, it's going to be a real deal. And I don't know exactly what's happening on C5, but when that knight lands on E6, it just feels very satisfying.
Yeah.
So Shakmateo should definitely take his time here. Yeah.
Right, he has to find this one.
Pretty violent games today, buddy.
Yeah.
Pretty violent games.
I feel like this is nothing special, though. I don't know. I think this is like typical stuff. Looks like in the other game we have that endgame we were looking at.
Yeah. Yeah, let's put that on the board. There was some C6 move I wasn't sure I totally understood. Yeah, take us through there.
Right. This was somewhere here. We had rook takes.
Right.
Bishop takes, king g1, knight takes e3, queen h5, knight h5, knight e7, c6, instead of knight f4. I like knight f4 a lot. I think this just dominates the position, but okay, c6, king
So the
f2,
weird thing about
knight
c6 is that the knight on e7 is still getting the f5 square, and so the only point that I see of playing c6 is you're stopping knight d5, right?
Yeah, I mean, that must have been the idea, but...
So c6 was a full miss. And I think he played rook d1 now.
King f2, yeah, knight c2, rook d1, knight d4, and it's white to play here. Yeah, it just seemed like black has lost a little bit of time. Like, this wasn't... None of this was necessary.
Now maybe he's still totally winning, but...
Yeah, it looks really good.
Well, let me fight for his honor. I like fighting for their honor.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what am I supposed to? It's still pretty tough, I guess. So I was just looking at was knight f5, rook f8, king e3, and the bummer for me is you might have more than one move, but here I can't take on d6. Right. So.
Yeah.
So right, we need this position, and white needs a good move. And I guess if we wanted to, give credence to what white is doing, then we have to believe that like this was the kind of thing he was looking at the whole time. And rook f8 is going to be is actually kind of a big deal, almost no matter what white does.
Yeah, it looks pretty bad. So maybe c6 didn't really spoil a whole lot.
Wait. Yeah, it's almost like black gave a full tempo and he was still totally winning.
Yeah.
He might have calculated, he might, come back at me and say, no, bro, I calculated this all out and what I'm going to get is another pawn because of the knight just like having to go to f5. That's it.
But I was thinking there, like, that tactic wasn't even all that important. I mean, like, if black just plays... I was thinking if just takes, rook d8, like...
Yeah, it's still very pleasant. Yeah, in fact, it's just got to be lost because the knight is so good when you got those local weaknesses, Yeah. You can
Yeah.
F6 whenever you want.
Right. So, I think he just saw, like, okay, don't allow knight... Because I guess he wanted to put the knight on d4. Yeah, just not allowing knight d5. No, I don't mind what black has done here at all. White just played bishop e2 here, but of course black is probably never going to take this one. I would expect just rook f8 or knight f4 here. pretty soon.
By the way, Shock Maseo has done this. We got the position on the board with D takes C6.
He found it. Nice.
I'm going to take a pause. I got to take a pause that refreshes, and I'll be right back.
Yeah, sounds good. We'll stay on this game between Counter Sparks and Mr. I Only from Denmark. The other game seems bad. I mean, this endgame is just like, this pawn is so strong, knight is so dominated. Everything is just wrong here for black to try and... It seems very difficult to even find like a reasonable idea. White's play is just very simple. Just push the pawn, bring the rook either to d8 or leave it on c6, bring the rook to f7, and yeah, the bishop is just too good here. It's definitely a slow win, but seems like it's relatively straightforward. It's just so hard for black to do anything about like this construction. So we'll see how black tries to defend here. Definitely a really tough position. I mean, I think this one, like, as soon as back here when black played f4, I think this is where it just all started going wrong, and you know, we found a couple of stronger continuations here for white. Definitely black needed to... Because here we felt like black was fine. We felt like black just needed to play like bishop b7, just take it very easy, and we're not really worried about e4. But this was the problem black was trying to solve. It just turned out to be just too weakening on the king side. Yeah.
The other thing, Kostya, is there's, you know, your initial intuition of knight takes c3 instead of knight d6 was also fine for black, it seemed to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that looked okay there, and then just bringing the other knight to f6 at some point, or playing c5. Yeah, so now we have this on the board, and we would expect white to win here. Hopefully he takes his time, doesn't create too many adventures, just like nice and easy. And this one we would expect black to win, kind of in a straightforward manner as well, with the two knights, extra pawn, better structure, healthy king. Just too many small advantages here.
Yeah. Oh yeah, black's wrapping it up here, man. He's on the board. We have knight f4, bishop g4, h5, and the bishop doesn't really have a great home. The light square bishop.
Yeah.
No home. No home. No home. I think that's pretty good tactics there, and those knights are just awesome. Yeah. Well, Kostya, we're gonna wrap it up soon, man. What does your week in chess look like coming up?
Okay, so I still have to do my match recap with Lawrence. I've been like analyzing the games quite a bit.
Okay,
and,
yeah.
Just breaking them down. I was really interested. I watched like the entire coverage, so I was really interested in the moments where like Robert and Vidit have like move suggestions in places where like I didn't know what to do. Because there are definitely a few moments where like I remember spending like 30 seconds, sometimes more, and just like having no idea how to play the position. Mm-hmm. So for me, it was very interesting just to look at those moments and see like what is their first instinct. Yeah, then making more videos for ChessDojo YouTube. I think we'll be doing the Norm Hunter show tomorrow. That's episode 3 with Strong Chess. That's at 5 p.m. Pacific, if you guys are going to be around, so similar time to this. Let's see. And yeah, we're trying to get like more of these tournaments up and running. So we might have like 5 round robins going at some point.
Yeah.
Which would be really cool. How about you, Jesse? Do you have any big plans?
Well, so one cool thing that's been going on is I'm doing this analysis of this game I lost, and it's been just like epic, man. I'm on page 27. I'm on page 27 of my handwritten notes, and I'm not done. So I'm going to continue doing that. I'm a little confused. I think I'm going to be able to do the Road to 2500 show, but this week's a little complicated because I do my epic end of the month show for the chess.com people.
Right.
Where I do I'm covering loads of games that people have submitted. And that's going to be Wednesday from 4 to 7 Eastern. So I'll have that for sure. I'll probably do a Road to 2500. I'll probably do some YouTube videos. Right, that's it for me, man. That's it for me. One thing it'll be interesting when you do your recap to me. What you do, like a YouTube video of that? Is that your idea?
I think for YouTube, yeah.
Yeah, no, that'd be cool. So Vidit had. I didn't watch all of it, but he had an intuition about you that I feel like I had. I was trying to when we had our little training match, that you like the safe positional moves, and which isn't bad as a style, but I think in blitz chess it really comes to haunt you, because then you're not punching. You're not punching to knock the guy out. And right, there were several opportunities that your intuition was just like, pull it back, pull it back, and that allowed your opponent to throw the punches and kind of dictate what was going on, which I thought, like for a long match especially, created some drama. But it also is just interesting for you to reflect on, is it that a fair assessment of your chess DNA, right? That you are this positional dude who ultimately wants to pull it in,
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it was, because, I mean, I think in classical I make it work because that's like my intuition, but then I have enough time to kind of go against my initial intuition and try to come up with like some stronger, like more aggressive, more ambitious ideas. I'm usually having to convince myself in classical to like rein it in and play more solid. But in blitz, yeah, I just like, I guess I just don't. Yeah, I definitely don't feel comfortable in the time scrambles when it's like a super messy position. I just feel like I'm gonna hang everything, and yeah, that definitely leads me to trying to keep things kind of simple and solid, just keeping that like strategic advantage long term. But it doesn't always work out. I also felt like a lot of the lines that I chose were kind of like, yeah, they do require me to play more aggressively at some points, and then I wasn't really able to do that. Well, yeah, I mean, that's blitz. I don't consider myself a super strong blitz player, so I feel like I definitely wanted to do better, but I wasn't like shocked by my own performance. I just felt like, yeah, it wasn't a great day. I
felt too that you definitely had your chances. Like the dude did go on tilt. I think that was clear.
He did,
like,
actually.
He's going on tilt. Yeah, so that was like you had a moment. By the way, Shock Masteo has found a tactic to crush Mr. Quirk, and I'm calling that game. It's over.
Yeah, he's found this nice rook d6, which just wins the piece.
And he did Quirk just did resign.
I love that Michael Scott avatar he has.
So good game to Shock Masteo. The single-mindedness of the G file and the G5 point paid off. Also, it paid off that he didn't, a massive amount of time left on the clock.
Right. Yeah, he made it work. So going to this game, we have H5 on the board. And
if White doesn't find something amazing here, it's just totally toast.
Yeah, I don't know where he can go with the bishop. Black can take on H3 probably whenever he wants. I would just try to bring the king into like F6 and yeah.
Well, right, the bummer is like the only real square is F5, and then King G7, F6 comes, and the knight isn't actually getting out in an easy way.
Yeah, Black absolutely just leaves this one to just ride out there. Yeah, it's starting to look pretty good for Black. I'm assuming he it's good chances to convert it. Can't take anything for granted, of course, but so far actually Black, I think, played this game very, very well. Like, he went for this endgame, and now he's kind of proving that it's winning. Like, he's trying to grind it out.
Let's just say that in the opening, it didn't seem like I thought he was let's say there were controversial moves in the opening from both sides. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I think he gave White a big chance with G5. White missed it, and Yeah, then allowed with knight takes c8, which turns out to just be this mistake. Or I guess this whole thing with knight takes c7, knight takes c8, allowing black all the counter tactics.
In fact, let me go back and find if I can find this here. Yeah, let me go back in this game. And one point that might, if they re-watch this, that they might find helpful is the idea that mistakes come in pairs, right? So in this position, there's a variety of ways for white to get a nice advantage. But he plays bishop e3. g5 was controversial, but then knight d5 was not correcto because of the knight e2 business.
Yeah, so definitely kudos to black for figuring out knight e2, gh4.
Right, and then what white needed to see is that, like, when you take on h5 and go to that endgame, you're just always better with no risk. And then knight d5 is something you have to really calculate out with knight e2. I mean, for both of us too, let's say. I mean, of course it was really complicated.
Yeah.
Of course it was like, I don't know, And there was big questions here. And of course, king f7 is a natural move. That's maybe the exclam move of the day, king h8.
Right. No, it's actually very possible that white just saw into this line with king f7 and thought, like, take. This is one of the lines we were looking at. Knight is pinned, and so this looks just great for white. Bishop f3 coming,
Right.
and just game over.
And then
so
the
he
other
missed this one. Yeah.
The other mistake after king h8 is I don't think you should be taking on c8. I think that's looks like ball game really after knight c8. And you did have a shot of survival with hg or gh, excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
Do I know what's exactly going on there? Of course not. The party's still going on.
Yeah, there's also an interesting idea here pointed out in the Twitch chat to play knight g4 after gh. I mean, maybe this is just bad for white anyway. But this is a nice one, like take.
Yeah, I like it.
Here, and then I think either bishop g4 rook f3 also is such a
okay, yeah, let's try it out. So
killer.
Knight g4, and if we
king h1,
king h1, knight e3, and then knight g3.
Yeah, probably.
No, that's
probably bad. Yeah.
Okay, let's just look because it's so fascinating. So king h1, knight e3, pawn takes. Now maybe black had something more evil than this, but let's say knight g3, king g1. It's not Grover. I don't know. Wow, my head's spinning. My head's spinning on this one.
Yeah, if we could just go back a sec. It really feels like black should be on top here.
Yeah.
With something. Wait, so we were taking... Right, FE... Can also throw in rook takes f1 here, but yeah, I'm not sure.
I mean, all those endgames are pretty good for black there too. It's got to be said. You're not even down anything. You're not even down anything. So yeah, all these endgames are good.
But maybe this was a better chance for white. It definitely seems like a better try compared to knight c8, which just walks into this. Which might not have even been the best that black can do, but...
Yeah, it seemed like there was even more convincing than c6, but even this is toast.
Yeah. Now we have...
Yeah, so there was this moment, I bet too, and maybe this is the kind of game we might go over in the analysis next week. But there seems to be some psychological thing where white probably believed he was better, and then all of a sudden he was just like, my world is crashing. It all went to it all went downhill.
No, I wanted to say it was actually really white who was responsible to calculate all this, because once they play knight d5 against g5, they're like very committed here. To making sure that this works. And I mean, he spent only a minute and a half on knight d5. This was actually where he disconnected, so he was thinking before already, so I think he spent a few minutes before he disconnected.
I love this chess.com thing. We get to see the times. It's really cool.
That is nice, yeah. But it seems like, okay, he didn't really spend enough time. sorting through that because he had a very safe endgame as an option.
Maybe his story will be, I was flustered because of the disconnection.
Yeah.
All right, Kosi, I got to go to bed. It's bedtime for Daddy here. I got to go.
No, I think that's good. I think we'll wrap up the stream here.
Yeah. But hopefully we'll do this next week. I'm going to guess we're going to have more players playing at this time as well. During the week, there's going to be other games. Maybe one of us will jump in on that, depending on if we can.
Yeah, if we're available, we might cover it. Mm-hmm.
In general, we're going to say, if you play at this time and you're part of the tournament, we will cover it.
Right. We wanted to make this a weekly thing, which it has been for you for a couple weeks already. So.
You're right. That was just... And by the way, because I don't know, maybe people can chime in from the training group, but it might be too much to ask for me to do the training group from 3:30 to 5:30, which is pretty intense, and then at 6 they got to play. That might be too intense. So maybe we might shift things around in some way, like I could change it to Saturday or whatever.
Yeah, we should definitely think about that. Maybe restructure a bit,
or maybe move it earlier so they can take a nap or something after the.
Yeah, can also do it earlier for sure.
In fact, how about this? Let's tentatively say for next week. I'm affecting your group too, right? If I said like 1 p.m. Eastern.
Right. So yeah, today I was teaching, or last couple of weeks I was teaching 1 p.m. Eastern. But we can definitely move that group around. We can also do a little bit later to give this group a break. But we'll figure it out. Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to make a claim for that spot, 1 to 3 Eastern time. And yeah. Okay. Cool. We'll see everybody soon. And Kosi, always a pleasure.
Yeah, absolutely. Take care, everyone.
All right. Bye.